Let's take a peek into Xbox's future. What is up, y'all? I'm Ray, and this is my channel, Xbox Ready, where we get on and we talk about Xbox stuff. The latest news, rumors, games, accessories. I bring guests on sometimes, I do interviews, I talk about different headsets and controllers. I do pretty much whatever I want because it's my channel and it's about Xbox, and that is the deal. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Xbox's new first-party roadmap and some great news regarding some of Xbox's best first-party studios, including Machine Games and Obsidian. Now, one of the big talking points, one of Xbox's biggest strengths going into this generation was the sheer amount of studios that they had under their belt, especially after they acquired ZeniMax Media. Starting in 2021, their number of first-party studios shot through the roof. At the time, there was a ton of excitement in the community seeing how Xbox would handle these studios, these IP that they suddenly inherited. Back a couple of years ago, these graphics used to be all the rage, where people would just consolidate all of the Xbox studios into one little graph and all the games that they were working on. One of the ones that I always referenced as a content creator, especially on this channel, was one made by Klobrille. It was like this first-party Xbox roadmap that covered at the time the next 3, 4, 5 years. And it just so happens that he released another one, an updated version as of February 2025. It is a painful reminder about the passage of time, but also it's really cool to look at because we get a glimpse into not only Xbox's future, but we're reminded about the games over the past couple of years and how they have informed Xbox's current strategy. You see, this is much more than a roadmap of Xbox first-party games. This in and of itself tells the story of Xbox, the journey thus far. You can pinpoint, if you think back on how some of these games were received, almost the exact moment when Xbox decided to switch up its strategy. Going back to 2020 with Wasteland, Ori, Gears Tactics, I mean, these are pretty fun games, but they're not heavy hitters. In 2020, at that time, it was totally reasonable. Those people saying, Xbox has no games, Xbox has no games, Xbox has no games. Of course, according to this roadmap, they did, they just weren't very exciting. They were really feeling the absence of Halo Infinite's delay here. Then you move on to 2021, and it starts to get really exciting. Psychonauts 2, Age of Empires 4, leading into Forza Horizon 5, and then Halo Infinite. That was an awesome stretch of time in Xbox's history. It was the 20th anniversary of Xbox. Everyone was super hyped. Forza Horizon 5 went on to become one of the most beloved games this generation, and this is just a really solid lineup of games. I loved Psychonauts 2, spent a lot of time in Age of Empires 4, especially because I had just gotten a PC that could play it. I'm not even really big on racing games, but Forza Horizon 5, obviously that went down as one of the best games to come out for Xbox this generation. Maybe one of the best arcade racing games to come to PlayStation 5 too. And say what you want about Halo Infinite, but when they dropped the multiplayer early, it was hype. And despite the fact that yes, it was missing features, yes, the maps were a little bit light, yes, you couldn't do Forge mode, campaign co-op, all of that, it didn't stop me from really enjoying this game. The combined efforts of these games to close out 2021 led to Xbox winning Publisher of the Year. Then you think back, wait, what did happen in 2022? How did Xbox capitalize on all of that momentum that they had built up towards the end of 2021? You look at this roadmap and you are served up a painful reminder. Because if we're just looking at the first party output, not Game Pass day one editions or partnerships or whatever, it's looking incredibly lean. As Dusk Falls, I mean, that was really fun. That was the first kind of event that I got to go to, kind of funny playthrough that was hosted here in LA. The Xbox version of Deathloop, the full release of Grounded, and then Pentiment. Now again, none of these games are bad games. Deathloop, Grounded, and Pentiment, I also very much enjoyed those. But these games aren't heavy hitters. And it's like you can look at this roadmap, look at that dry year of 2022, and see how Xbox never really regained the momentum after that. At around this time, the Xbox Series consoles, yeah, they were being outsold by the PlayStation 5, but not as much as they are now because of the whole console shortage. launch. In my humble opinion, as a guy with a YouTube channel and a camera, if Xbox had been more prepared, had the lineup that we're seeing from them currently back in 2022, especially since they were still doing exclusives at this time, I think they really could have done a lot better, sold a lot more consoles, and maybe they wouldn't be going full multi-platform right now. Because it's one thing to have a dry 2020 through, it's another thing to follow that up with a kind of dry 2023. Now, 2023 started off strong. Hi-Fi Rush, bam, Shadow dropped at Developer Direct right in the beginning of the year. It was awesome. Of course, while critically that game did pretty well, it didn't really sell as much. And we all know that Xbox, Microsoft, they ultimately decided to shut down Tango Gameworks. The console version of Age of Empires 2 was cool, but I mean, it's like a 20-year-old game at that point, so while it's cool, it's again, not like internet breaking. The Xbox version of Ghostwire Tokyo, that was pretty fun, but again, this is an old game. It felt like we were getting PlayStation's leftovers. I say old, but at that time I was like a year old. And then you have Minecraft Legends leading into Redfall. Now, Minecraft Legends was another flop critically and commercially. They ended up shutting support for this game off entirely after billing it as this like sort of live service, not live service game, or like a game that at least would be around for a couple of years ongoing type game. And while you know what, yeah, that's an Xbox first-party game because it's Mojang and they own Mojang, it was multi-platform and, you know, maybe there wasn't the highest expectations from this game. I feel like publishers, platform holders, they're allowed a flop or two. Nobody's perfect, shoot or shoot. Out of all the games that Xbox plans to put out, a couple of them are bound to be subpar or bad. That's just statistics. You look over at Forspoken, which released also in 2023 in January. People were roasting that game, but then after that, PlayStation owners got a banger exclusive with Helldivers 2, and everyone forgot about Forspoken. You just can't have two flops in a row, and that's what happened here with Xbox between Minecraft Legends and Redfall. Minecraft Legends released in like April 2023, and then in May we got Redfall, and we all know what happened there. Ultimately, I don't think if they had fixed up like the technical issues and the bugs and the crashes, that it wouldn't have been as bad as people on the internet were making it out to be. But that's not how history remembers this game. This is another title that went on to the studio shut down, the support for the game shut down. That's 3 games that showed up in Developer Direct 2023 where either the studio shut down or they stopped support of the game entirely. Hi-Fi Rush, Minecraft Legends, and Redfall. That ended up putting so much pressure on Starfield later that year. And while I know there are a lot of Starfield fans that watch this channel, ultimately where I ended up on the game was that it was just fine, where I was expecting to like really crap my pants over how good it was gonna be. Then they ended the year with Forza Motorsport. Again, I'm not really a car guy, but it seemed that people were really pissed off at that game too. We don't really see Xbox come into its full potential until the end of 2024 because again, they had a couple of missteps. They had nothing through the first couple of months besides Palworld, which is not a first-party game, setting up again the pressure to be on Hellblade 2, which fell short of people's expectations. Age of Mythology Retold was awesome, but again, that is an older game being updated for Xbox consoles. No, it wasn't until Black Ops 6 came around for Xbox that we really got that jolt, that energy back that we had back in 2021. Because then they went on a really good run with Black Ops 6, Indiana Jones. They had a couple of timed exclusive partnerships with like Stalker 2. And unlike in 2021 where they built up a good amount of momentum only to squander it over the next 2 years, that doesn't seem to be the case for 2024 heading into 2025. Avowed is already out and the critics generally seem to agree that it's a solid game, which is great news for Xbox because all they really needed was like a solid base hit, not another flop. And then they're going to follow that up with what seems to be a string of solid games. I'm really looking forward to the console release of Towerborn. I got to play this game a couple of months back. I know it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but I really like Stoic Entertainment and their work on the Banner Saga, and I liked what I played back at that Gamescom event. I'm still a little bit sus on South of Midnight. I don't know if this is a game I'm ultimately going to love, but it looks solid. Again, I don't think it's going to be a flop a la Redfall or Minecraft Legends. Doom the Dark Ages, I think that's going to do numbers. I think that's going to be a banger. People are going to be really excited about that. Outer Worlds 2 also looks really fun. I'm having fun with Avowed right now, so I don't know why I wouldn't have fun with Outer Worlds 2. It's crazy seeing Ninja Gaiden 4 on this on the first party freaking roadmap. I've been playing Ninja Gaiden 2, the remake that they did, Ninja Gaiden Black. I wasn't familiar with those games, but now having played the second one, I am excited for Ninja Gaiden 4 and everything we've been hearing about Fable from strictly a gameplay perspective. Not all that other discourse about discussing whether or not you find the main character bangable. I'm talking like the graphics are looking good. We've been hearing some interesting things about the combat, how it's very Witcher-esque. I think this will be a very worthy reboot, and I'm excited to see what Playground Games does with it. Beyond that, we got some really exciting stuff and also some question marks. Contraband, what is that? I mean, we don't really know. We got a teaser, a trailer for this a while ago, and then we got no other information since. State of Decay 3, I'm excited for it, and I was super happy to see it show up last showcase. I'm really rooting for this game because for the longest time, we were hearing nothing but questionable bad things about the development over at Undead Labs. A lot of drama, a lot of scandal. Clockwork Revolution looks fantastic as well. It's given BioShock Infinite energy. I actually got to talk to a dev who's working on this game. He had previously worked at Obsidian and now works at inXile. And I was like, I put two and two together. I was like, oh, you're working on Clockwork Revolution? He was like, yeah. He says that it's going really well, which is very encouraging to hear. This is before he knew I was a YouTuber, so he spoke very candidly with me. Gears of War E-Day, that just seems like it's going to be a return to form for Xbox. I wish it was coming out in 2025, but already this year is crazy, so I imagine they'll push it to 2026. We know the Coalition has been cooking when it comes to their work in Unreal Engine 5. They've gotten so good at it that they're helping other studios. So to see the return of Marcus and Dom in their full glory, it's gonna be awesome. Those boys are always up to some crazy stuff, man. Gears 1 through 3, so you just know the story is going to be crazy. Even something like Perfect Dark, that looked really good from the trailer they showed off last year as well. Which again is encouraging because they were switching studios, they were flip-flopping like execs on the project and all that. The ones that really make me laugh on this roadmap are The Elder Scrolls 6. Cause like, when is that game coming out, man? It's like George R. R. Martin with The Winds of Winter. It's like, oh yeah, it's gonna come out. Okay, but you said that like 5-6 years ago. Where is it? And then Everwild, like what is going on with this game? How busy is Rare on freaking Sea of Thieves that they can't be working on Everwild? And again, this is just first party stuff. This is not to say anything about all the other work that Xbox has done to bring other games to the platform, like their partnership with Atlas, bringing the Persona games over, this new thing that they got going on with Team Ninja, all of the day one partners that they have for Game Pass as well, like the new Expedition 33 game. If we're just looking at the games, I feel like there's so much to look forward to as Xbox fans. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom about, oh, they're not selling enough consoles, oh, they're going multi-platform, but this, if we cut out all the other noise and all of the other discourse, if I'm just looking at the games, this is an exciting lineup. If they actually got their butts moving on the Elder Scrolls 6, it would go from a solid lineup to like an extraordinary one, but I'm not gonna account for that. I'm looking at what is like a surefire thing, stuff that they've showed us, stuff that we've actually seen gameplay for. Will it be enough to keep Xbox fans around? Will it be enough to drive Game Pass subscriptions? I don't exactly know the answer to that, but no matter what Xbox does, it all starts with good quality games. No more flops. Okay, maybe you can have one flop, but you can't have back-to-back flops. Actually, no, I take that back. No flops at all. If they keep chugging along, like Avowed right now is like an 8 of 10 game. If they keep chugging along with those just solid base hits, then they'll be in really good shape to make a case for at least, oh, buy our games on PC, subscribe to Game Pass, maybe buy our handheld to check out all of these projects. Speaking of cool things on the horizon, things working out. According to this post on LinkedIn, it's like a hiring post. After the release of Indiana Jones, Machine Games is working on some really cool projects. As to what those projects are, we don't really know. We know that they're working on an expansion for the Great Circle, and we know that they're interested in more Wolfenstein games. But this could not make me happier. I am so glad that Machine Games executed as well as they did on Indiana Jones, that people seem to like it, that it did well on Game Pass, on cloud gaming. I don't know how it did in terms of sales, but the Xbox seems happy with like the overall amount of people that played Indiana Jones. It seems like Machine Games is going to be able to ride out that success, carry that momentum, and into their other projects without fear of being shut down or fired, like Tango Gameworks. I guess that risk is still sort of there because we were hearing a lot of the same things when Hi-Fi Rush came out. Xbox leadership was like, it was a success for us in every metric. We love Hi-Fi Rush. We love games like Hi-Fi Rush because they're like prestige games for us. I'm rooting for Machine Games to stick around, and I'm also rooting for Obsidian as well. That might be a weird thing to say because they just shipped Avowed and it's being received pretty well. But in this tumultuous time where studios are getting shut down left and right, people are losing their jobs in the industry left and right, you can never know for sure. But apparently Obsidian is not worried about it. They plan to stick around for at least another 100 years. According to certain comments that the VP of Operations at Obsidian made in this recent interview that he did at DICE, he says that they plan to deliver games not rushed, but often, which, looking at the past couple of years, tracks. Obsidian alone makes up the majority of Xbox's first-party releases, and their games are always so wildly different and original. And they also never get ahead of themselves in trying to build super profitable releases. They're not trying to grow aggressively, and damn it, someone figured it out. All of these tech companies, all of these studios, once 2020 came around, 2021, they were like, oh my gosh, let's hire a bunch of people, let's grow, let's open different locations, only to be like, holy crap, all of this takes a lot of money. We need to make banger after banger, and not only bangers, they have to sell really well too in order to justify any of this. While I would love to see what Obsidian can do with like a mega budget and a mega staff, Xbox already has studios like that. I really want Obsidian to be able to creatively, especially, to do their thing, not be beholden to trends or profit margins or just like chasing the bag. I know there's been a lot of back and forth on like, oh, the people who worked on New Vegas when Obsidian did it, they're not there anymore. They're not the same company anymore. I still like Obsidian. They're hands down one of Xbox's best studios. And while I understand some of their games might not be for everyone or have a mass appeal, I like that they are willing to take risks like with Pentiment and make these kind of smaller, more methodical, out there games. I want them to keep doing that, and if that means staying small, not aggressively growing, I support it. Anyways, guys, that's all the Xbox stuff I have to talk about today. Thanks so much for joining me for another edition of Xbox Ready. If you made it this far into the video, consider subscribing. Help me on my journey to 200,000 subs. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.